The rain hammered against the windshield as Sarah gripped the steering wheel of her beat-up Honda Civic. The wipers worked overtime, squeaking with each pass, barely keeping up with the downpour. She glanced at her phone mounted on the dashboard, the GPS showing she was only 2 minutes away from her final delivery of the night. Her stomach growled, reminding her that she had skipped dinner again to save money. Sarah checked her bank account app at the red light, and her heart sank. $15.32. That was all she had until Friday, and today was only Monday. She had already calculated everything in her head a dozen times. Gas to get through the week would cost $20. Her phone bill was due tomorrow, another $50. The electric company had sent a final notice. She felt the familiar tightness in her chest, the anxiety that had become her constant companion over the past 6 months. The light turned green, and she pressed the accelerator, the old engine coughing before catching. She turned onto Riverside Drive, and suddenly the neighborhood changed. The modest homes gave way to sprawling estates hidden behind tall gates and manicured hedges. The GPS directed her to turn right onto a private road, and her eyes widened as she drove past perfectly trimmed lawns and fountains that probably cost more than she had earned in her entire life. Finally, she arrived at the address, and her mouth fell open. Calling it a mansion seemed like an understatement. The house stretched before her like something out of a movie, with white columns, arched windows, and a circular driveway that could fit 20 cars. Warm light spilled from the windows, and she could see a massive chandelier through the front entrance. Sarah grabbed the pizza boxes from the passenger seat, 3 large pizzas that filled her car with the aroma of melted cheese and pepperoni. The order total was $47. She hoped for a decent tip, maybe $10 if she was lucky. That would at least buy her groceries for a couple of days. She thought about what she could make stretch: ramen noodles, maybe some eggs, a loaf of bread, the same meals she had been rotating through for weeks now. She ran through the rain, trying to shield the pizzas with her jacket, and rang the doorbell. The door was ornate, made of dark wood with intricate carvings. She waited, shifting from foot to foot, water dripping from her hair down her back. Her shoes were soaked through, and she could feel the cold seeping into her bones. The door opened, and Sarah found herself looking at a man in his early 40s, dressed casually in jeans and a navy sweater. He had kind eyes and a warm smile, though she noticed the expensive watch on his wrist and the quality of his clothes despite their casual appearance. "Hello, pizza delivery," she said, forcing a smile despite her exhaustion. Her voice came out more tired than she intended, and she tried to straighten up to look more professional. Come in, you're getting soaked out there," the man said, stepping aside and gesturing for her to enter. "Oh, that's okay. I can just hand these to you here," Sarah replied, not wanting to drip water all over his probably priceless floors. She had learned to be careful around wealthy customers. Some were kind, but others looked at her like she was dirt on their shoes. "Nonsense. You'll catch pneumonia. Please come inside for a moment." Sarah hesitated, but stepped into the foyer. The warmth enveloped her immediately, and she tried not to gawk at the surroundings. The chandelier she had seen from outside hung above them, crystal droplets catching the light. A grand staircase curved up to the second floor, and she could see artwork on the walls that looked like it belonged in a museum. Everything was so clean, so perfect, so far removed from her own reality. "Let me get my wallet," the man said, disappearing down a hallway. Sarah stood there, dripping on what she now realized was marble flooring. She felt so out of place in her stained uniform and worn sneakers.
The pizza company logo on her shirt was faded from too many washes, and there was a small tear near the hem that she kept meaning to sew. She clutched the pizza boxes tighter, leaving damp spots on the cardboard. She noticed a family portrait on the wall, the man with a beautiful woman and 2 smiling children. They looked happy, secure, like they had never worried about where their next meal would come from. The man returned with his wallet and pulled out 3 $20 bills. "Your total was 47, right?" "Yes, sir," Sarah confirmed, her heart lifting slightly at the sight of the cash. He handed her the $60. "Keep the change." "Thank you so much," Sarah said, genuinely grateful for the $13 tip. It was better than she had expected. Most people in houses like this either tipped generously or not at all.
She had once delivered to a mansion twice this size and received exactly $0 in tip. As she was about to turn to leave, her phone slipped from her pocket. It clattered onto the marble floor and the screen lit up. Sarah quickly bent to pick it up, but not before the man had seen what was on the screen. Her banking app was still open, showing that devastating number, $15.32. She straightened quickly, her face burning with embarrassment. "Sorry, clumsy me. Thank you again for the tip. Have a great evening." She just wanted to get out of there, to escape the humiliation of this stranger seeing exactly how desperate her situation was. "Wait," the man said softly. His expression had changed, become more thoughtful. Sarah paused, her hand on the door handle. Her heart was pounding. Was he going to take back the tip? Make some comment about how she should get a better job? She had heard it all before. "What's your name?" Sarah Mitchell. "I'm James Thornton." He extended his hand, and she shook it, confused by the formality. "How long have you been doing delivery work, Sarah?" "About 6 months," she replied, wondering why he was asking. "I usually work 2 jobs, but I lost my position at the coffee shop last month when they downsized." She didn't mention that the coffee shop had let her go because she had been late too many times, always because she was exhausted from working until midnight at the pizza place. "I see. And if you don't mind me asking, what made you need to take on this kind of work? You seem young." Sarah felt the walls she had built around her emotions start to crack. Something about this stranger's genuine interest made her want to talk, but she also felt foolish, standing in this palace of a house discussing her problems. But there was something in his eyes, a kindness that she hadn't seen in a long time. "I'm 24. I was in college, studying to be a nurse. My mom got sick 2 years ago. Cancer. I dropped out to take care of her and help with the bills. She fought hard, but she passed away 8 months ago. Since then, I've just been trying to keep afloat, pay off her medical debts, keep our apartment. I keep telling myself I'll go back to school, but every month there's something else that needs paying." The words tumbled out before she could stop them, and she immediately regretted oversharing. This man didn't need to hear her sob story. He probably had people coming to him all the time with hard luck tales, trying to get money out of him. "I'm so sorry. I don't know why I just told you all that," Sarah said, blinking back tears. "I should go. Thank you for the tip." "Sarah, wait," James said. "Please, come sit down for a moment. I'd like to talk to you about something." "Sir, I really need to get back. I have more deliveries." It was a lie. She just wanted to leave before she embarrassed herself further. "Actually, I checked the app when I ordered. This was your last delivery of the night. Please, just 5 minutes." Something in his tone made her agree. Maybe it was exhaustion, or maybe it was the kindness in his eyes, or maybe it was just that she was so tired of fighting alone. He led her to a living room that was larger than her entire apartment. The furniture looked comfortable despite being clearly expensive, and a fire crackled in the fireplace. She could smell something wonderful, maybe cinnamon or vanilla, and she noticed candles burning on the mantel. "Please, sit," James said, gesturing to a leather couch.
Sarah perched on the edge, still clutching her wet jacket. She was leaving a wet spot on the leather and felt terrible about it. James sat across from her in an armchair, and for a moment he just looked at her thoughtfully. "I want to tell you a story," he began. 22 years ago, I was working 3 jobs, sleeping 4 hours a night, trying to keep my head above water. My father had died, leaving my mother with a mountain of debt. I was 19, and I had to drop out of college too. I was angry, bitter, convinced that life was unfair and that people like me never got a break. Sarah listened, surprised by this revelation. This man, in his mansion, had been where she was now? It seemed impossible. One night, James continued, I was working as a janitor in an office building downtown. I was in the break room, counting the coins in my pocket, trying to figure out if I had enough for bus fare and a sandwich. A man came in, the CEO of the company, Richard Marshall. He saw me there, saw the desperation on my face, and he asked me my story, just like I asked you. James leaned forward, his expression intense. Richard changed my life that night. He didn't just give me money, he gave me an opportunity. He offered me a real job in his company, entry level, but with benefits and room to grow. He became my mentor. He saw potential in me when I couldn't see it in myself. He helped me finish my degree online while I worked. He taught me about business, about investing, about believing in myself. Sarah felt tears streaming down her face now. Why are you telling me this? Because Richard made me promise something. He said that if I ever found myself in a position to help someone the way he helped me, I should do it. He told me that success means nothing if we don't lift others up with us. He passed away 5 years ago, and not a day goes by that I don't think about what he did for me. Not a day goes by that I don't ask myself if I'm honoring his legacy the way he would have wanted. I'm sorry for your loss, Sarah whispered. Richard didn't just change my life. He changed my perspective on what wealth and success really mean. After he mentored me, I started my own tech company. We developed software that made me more money than I ever dreamed possible. I sold that company 3 years ago. Now I invest in startups and spend most of my time trying to figure out how to honor Richard's legacy. I've donated to charities, funded scholarships, invested in businesses. But nothing has felt quite right. Nothing has felt as personal, as meaningful as what Richard did for me. That's amazing, Sarah said, not sure where this was going, but feeling a flutter of something in her chest. Hope, maybe, though she was almost afraid to let herself feel it. James stood up and walked to the fireplace, staring into the flames. When I saw your bank account on your phone, it felt like the universe was telling me something. Here you are, working yourself to exhaustion, trying to honor your mother's memory by staying afloat, by being responsible. You could have declared bankruptcy, walked away from those medical debts that aren't even legally yours anymore. But you didn't. You're trying to do the right thing. You remind me so much of who I was. He turned to face her. I want to help you, Sarah. Not with a handout, but with the same kind of opportunity Richard gave me. Sarah's heart was pounding. Sir, I don't understand. I own several businesses now. One of them is a property management company. We manage residential and commercial properties all over the state. I need an assistant property manager, someone who can learn the business from the ground up. It's a real job with a real salary. $45,000 a year to start, with full benefits and room for advancement. More importantly, we have a program that pays for employees to finish their degrees. If you still want to be a nurse, we'll help you get there. Sarah couldn't breathe. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen to people like her. She had watched enough crime shows to be wary of strangers making impossible promises. But something in James's face told her this was genuine. Why would you do this for me? I'm a stranger. You don't know anything about me except that I deliver pizzas and I'm broke." James smiled. "That's not entirely true. In the 15 minutes you've been here, I've learned a lot about you. You're responsible. You sacrificed your education and your dreams to care for your mother. You're working multiple jobs to pay off debts that aren't even yours anymore. You're not asking for handouts or looking for the easy way out. You're doing everything right, Sarah. You just need a chance. You need someone to believe in you the way Richard believed in me." "I don't know what to say," Sarah managed, her voice breaking. "Say yes. Say you'll come interview properly tomorrow, meet the team, see if it's a good fit. I'm not promising you it will be easy. It's real work, and you'll have to prove yourself. But I'm promising you a fair shot, a real opportunity to change your life." Sarah wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "What time tomorrow?" James grinned. "How about 10 in the morning? I'll text you the address. Give me your number." With shaking hands, Sarah recited her number. James typed it into his phone and immediately sent her a text with an address and a message that read, "Looking forward to tomorrow. This is your chance, Sarah. Take it. There, now you have mine too. Go home, get some sleep, and come ready to start a new chapter tomorrow." Sarah stood up, feeling like she was in a dream. "Mr. Thornton, I don't know how to thank you." "Call me James. And you can thank me by doing great work and by remembering this feeling. Someday, when you're in a position to help someone else, pay it forward. That's all I ask." "I will," Sarah promised. "I swear I will." As she walked to the door, James called out to her. "Sarah, one more thing." She turned back. "Those medical debts you mentioned, how much are we talking about?" Sarah felt her face flush again. "About $38,000. I've been making minimum payments, but the interest keeps piling up. It feels like I'm drowning, and no matter how hard I swim, I can't reach the surface." James was quiet for a moment. "Here's what I'm going to do. I'll have my lawyer contact the hospital and the collection agencies tomorrow. We'll negotiate a settlement and pay it off." "No," Sarah gasped. "No, I can't let you do that. That's too much. You're already offering me a job. I can't accept that much help." "It's not a gift, Sarah. It's a loan. Interest-free, and you can pay me back over time from your salary, whatever amount you're comfortable with each month. The important thing is getting that weight off your shoulders so you can focus on moving forward instead of treading water. You can't build a future when you're drowning in the past." Sarah couldn't hold back the sobs anymore. She covered her face with her hands, her whole body shaking. This was too much. It was overwhelming. It was impossible. Part of her still couldn't believe this was happening. James walked over and gently patted her shoulder. "It's okay. Let it out. You've been carrying this alone for too long. I can see it in your eyes, Sarah. You're exhausted. You're scared. You're running on empty. Let someone help you. Let me help you." "Why are you being so kind to me?" Sarah asked through her tears. "I don't deserve this." "Yes, you do. Because someone was kind to me once. Because I believe in you. Because the world needs more people like you. People who fight and sacrifice and care. And because I can. I have resources that I can use to make a real difference in someone's life. Why wouldn't I? What good is wealth if we don't use it to help others?" Sarah finally composed herself enough to look up at him. "I won't let you down. I promise I'll work harder than anyone else. I'll pay back every penny. I know you will. Now, go home, take a hot shower, and get some rest. I'll see you tomorrow." Sarah drove home in a daze. The rain had stopped, and the city lights blurred as more tears fell. But these were different tears. These were tears of relief, of hope, of gratitude so profound she didn't have words for it. She kept touching her phone, reading James's text over and over, afraid that if she stopped, she would wake up and find it had all been a dream. When she got to her small studio apartment, she sat on her bed and stared at her phone for a long time. The apartment was cold, the heat turned down to save money,
There were dishes in the sink she was too tired to wash. The carpet had stains she couldn't afford to clean. But tonight, none of that mattered. Tonight, everything had changed. She thought about her mother, about the nights they had sat together in the hospital, making plans for the future that would never come. Her mother had always told her that good things come to those who keep trying, who keep their hearts open even when life is hard. Her mother had believed in miracles, in kindness, in the goodness of people. Sarah had stopped believing that somewhere along the way, but maybe her mother had been right. That night, Sarah slept better than she had in months. She dreamed of her mother, smiling and healthy, telling her that everything was going to be okay. The next morning, she woke up early and put on the only professional outfit she owned, a black skirt and white blouse that she had worn to her mother's funeral. She spent an hour preparing her resume, listing her incomplete nursing degree, her various jobs, her volunteer work at the community center where she had helped serve meals on weekends. It looked thin, she thought, not nearly impressive enough for a $45,000 job. But it was honest, and it was all she had. The property management office was in a modern building downtown. Sarah arrived 20 minutes early and sat in her car, practicing what she would say. She rehearsed answers to potential questions, trying to sound confident and capable despite the butterflies in her stomach. When it was finally time, she walked into the lobby and gave her name to the receptionist. "You must be Sarah," the woman said with a warm smile. "James told us all about you. Welcome. He's waiting for you in his office." The receptionist led her down a hallway lined with photos of properties, beautiful apartment buildings and commercial spaces. Everything looked professional and well-maintained. Sarah's hands were sweating. James's office was professional, but not ostentatious. There were photos on the desk of a woman and 2 children, and Sarah felt a pang of curiosity about his personal life. There were also framed newspaper articles on the walls, something about community service awards and business achievements. "Sarah, come in," James said, standing up from his desk. He was wearing a suit today, looking every bit the successful businessman. "I want you to meet Linda Chen. She's the head of our property management division, and she'll be your direct supervisor if you accept the position." A woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a professional demeanor stood up from a chair. "It's wonderful to meet you, Sarah. James has told me a bit about your situation. I want you to know that while James brought you here, you're interviewing with me. I don't hire people as favors. You'll need to convince me that you're right for this job." "I understand," Sarah said, feeling her confidence waver slightly. She appreciated the honesty, but it was also intimidating. For the next hour, Linda asked her questions. What did she know about property management? How did she handle difficult people? Could she give examples of problem-solving in her previous jobs? Sarah answered as honestly as she could, drawing on her experiences at the coffee shop and with customer service. She talked about dealing with angry customers, about managing multiple tasks at once, about staying calm under pressure. At one point, Linda asked, "Why did you choose nursing originally?" Sarah thought about it. "I wanted to help people in their most vulnerable moments. When my mom was sick, the nurses were the ones who made her feel human, who treated her with dignity when she was scared and in pain. They knew her name. They asked about her life. They made her laugh even when she was feeling her worst. I wanted to be that person for others. I wanted to make a difference in people's lives when it mattered most." Linda nodded, making notes. "And now? Do you still want to be a nurse?" "I do," Sarah admitted, "but I'm also realistic. I need stability now. I need to get my feet under me. Maybe in a few years, when I'm more settled, I can figure out how to make that dream happen. But right now, I need to survive. I need to build a foundation." "What if I told you that you could do both?" Linda said. "We have several properties that are senior living facilities. Part of your job would be liaising with healthcare providers, understanding the unique needs of elderly residents, handling their concerns and families. It's not nursing, but it's adjacent.
You'd be helping people, making sure they have safe, comfortable places to live. You'd be advocating for them, solving their problems, making their lives better. Sarah felt a spark of excitement. That sounds amazing. That sounds like exactly the kind of work I want to do. The interview continued, and Sarah found herself relaxing. Linda asked about her organizational skills, her computer literacy, her ability to learn new systems.
Sarah was honest about what she knew and what she didn't, but she emphasized her willingness to learn, her strong work ethic, her dedication. Finally, Linda sat back in her chair. Sarah, I'm going to be honest with you. Your resume is thin. You don't have experience in this field. Under normal circumstances, I probably wouldn't hire someone with your background for this position. But James has good instincts about people, and I trust his judgment. More importantly, I believe that technical skills can be taught, while work ethic and compassion cannot. You have those qualities in spades. I can see it in the way you talk about your mother, about wanting to help people. Does that mean you're offering me the job? Sarah asked, hardly daring to hope. It means I'm willing to take a chance on you. You'll start on a 90-day probationary period. I'll be training you personally, which means I'll be watching everything you do. If you work out, great. If not, we part ways professionally with no hard feelings. Does that sound fair? More than fair, Sarah said. Thank you so much. I won't disappoint you. I promise I'll work harder than anyone you've ever hired. Linda smiled. I believe you will. Can you start Monday? Absolutely. Over the next few weeks, Sarah threw herself into her new job with everything she had. Linda was a demanding boss, but an excellent teacher. Sarah learned about lease agreements, property maintenance, tenant relations, building codes, and the hundreds of small details that went into managing residential properties. She learned how to handle emergency maintenance calls, how to mediate disputes between neighbors, how to conduct property inspections, how to work with contractors. She learned about budgets and expense reports, about marketing vacant units, about conducting background checks on potential tenants. The work was challenging, but Sarah loved it. For the first time in years, she felt like she was building something instead of just surviving. She woke up in the mornings with purpose instead of dread. She had benefits, actual health insurance, for the first time since she left college. She could afford to buy groceries without counting every penny. She could keep her heat on, keep her phone connected, start paying down her debts. True to his word, James had his lawyer contact Sarah's creditors. Within a month, all of her mother's medical debts had been settled for a fraction of what she owed. The collection calls stopped. The threatening letters stopped arriving. The anxiety that had been her constant companion began to fade. She could breathe again. James set up a payment plan where Sarah would pay him back $200 a month, a sum she could actually manage on her new salary. It would take years, but for the first time since her mother's diagnosis, Sarah could see a path forward. She wasn't drowning anymore. She was swimming, making progress, heading toward shore. She also enrolled in online classes to finish her nursing degree. The company's education program covered tuition, and she scheduled her classes around her work hours. It was exhausting, studying late into the night after full days at work, but it was a good kind of exhaustion, the kind that came from building something rather than just surviving. Every completed assignment felt like a victory. Every passing grade felt like proof that she could do this, that she could rebuild her life. 3 months into her new job, Linda called Sarah into her office. Sarah's heart sank. Was this it? Had she failed somehow? Had she made some terrible mistake she didn't know about? "Sit down, Sarah," Linda said, and Sarah couldn't read her expression. Sarah sat, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. She mentally reviewed the past week, trying to think of anything she had done wrong. Had she misfiled something? Made a tenant angry? Missed a deadline? "I wanted to talk to you about your probationary period," Linda began. "Today marks 90 days. "I know," Sarah said quietly. "I've been trying so hard. If there's anything I can improve on, please tell me. I'll do better." Linda smiled, and Sarah felt a wave of relief. "Sarah, you've exceeded every expectation I had. You're organized, thoughtful, and our residents love you. Mrs. Patterson in Building C told me yesterday that you were the first property manager who actually listened to her concerns and fixed her heating issue within 24 hours. Mr. Rodriguez said you helped him set up automatic rent payments when he was worried about forgetting due dates. The Johnsons wrote a thank you note saying you helped them understand their lease renewal options and saved them money." Sarah felt relief wash over her. "So I'm not being fired?" "Fired?" Linda laughed. "No, quite the opposite. I'm officially ending your probationary period and giving you a raise. You're now making $50,000 a year, and I want to start training you on some of the more complex aspects of the job." "I think you have real potential to move up in this company, Sarah. You have instincts for this work that can't be taught." Sarah felt tears spring to her eyes again. "Thank you, Linda. Thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for believing in me. You've earned it, Sarah. James saw something in you, and he was right. But you're the one who proved it. You're the one who showed up every day ready to learn, ready to work, ready to care about our residents. That's all you, not us." That evening, Sarah went to James's office to thank him. He was packing up his briefcase, getting ready to leave. "James, do you have a minute?" she asked from the doorway. "Of course, Sarah. Come in. How did your review with Linda go?" "She gave me a raise," Sarah said, still amazed. "I wanted to thank you for everything. You changed my life. 3 months ago, I had $15 in my bank account. Today, I have savings. I have health insurance. I'm taking classes again. I have hope for the future." James shook his head. "No, Sarah, you changed your life. I just opened a door. You're the one who walked through it and proved you belonged here. You're the one who worked hard, who cared about the residents, who learned everything Linda taught you. Don't sell yourself short." "I've been thinking a lot about what you said," Sarah continued, "about paying it forward. I want to do that, but I don't have money like you do. I'm still paying back the loan you gave me." "Money isn't the only way to help people," James said. "Time, attention, mentorship, advocacy. These things matter just as much, sometimes more. Richard didn't just give me money. He gave me his time, his knowledge, his belief in me. That's what changed everything." Sarah nodded slowly. "I've been volunteering at the community center on Saturdays, helping people with their resumes and job applications. A lot of them are in the same situation I was in, overwhelmed and not sure where to start. I help them format their resumes, practice interview skills, research companies. It's not much, but it feels good to help." "That's wonderful, Sarah. See, you're already paying it forward." "I also wanted to tell you something," Sarah said. "I increased my monthly payment to you. I'm paying you $300 a month now instead of $200. I know it's not much, but every bit helps, and I want to pay you back as soon as I can." James looked at her for a long moment. "Sarah, I appreciate that, but I want you to do something for me. Take that extra $100 and put it in a savings account. Build yourself an emergency fund. The best way you can pay me back is by becoming financially stable, by never having to worry about having only $15 in your account again. Are you sure?" "I'm sure. The money was never the point. Breaking the cycle of poverty, giving you the tools to build a secure future, that's the point. You can't help others if you're still struggling yourself. Build your foundation first." 6 months later, Sarah was thriving. She had completed 2 semesters of online classes toward her nursing degree, earning straight A's in both. She had been promoted again, this time to Senior Assistant Property Manager, with a salary increase to $55,000. Her savings account had grown to $3,000, and for the first time in years, she felt secure.
She had even bought herself new work clothes, professional outfits that made her feel confident. She had also started a small support group at the community center for people dealing with medical debt and family illness. Every week, 8 to 10 people would show up, and they would share their stories, their struggles, and their victories. Sarah would share her own story too, always ending with the night James opened his door and changed everything. She would tell them about the power of asking for help, of accepting kindness, of believing in second chances. One Saturday, as Sarah was wrapping up the support group meeting, a young woman approached her. Her name was Maria, and she looked exhausted, her eyes red from crying. She had been coming to the group for a few weeks, but had barely spoken. "I don't know what to do anymore," Maria said, her voice breaking. "My husband had a stroke 6 months ago. He's only 32. We have 2 little kids, ages 4 and 6. I work 2 jobs, but it's not enough. The medical bills keep coming. I'm drowning. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up." Sarah's heart ached with recognition. She knew exactly how Maria felt. She had been there, standing on that edge, wondering how much more she could take. "Come with me," Sarah said. "Let me buy you a coffee, and we can talk." They sat in a coffee shop for 2 hours. Maria told her story, and Sarah listened, really listened. Maria had been a teacher before her husband's stroke, but she had taken a leave of absence to care for him during his recovery. When she tried to return, her position had been filled. Now she was working retail during the day and cleaning offices at night, trying to keep up with the bills while caring for her husband and children. She was exhausted, overwhelmed, and losing hope. Then Sarah told Maria about the property management company, about how they were always looking for good people, about their education benefits and their employee assistance program. She told her about flexible schedules, about understanding managers, about opportunities for advancement. "Do you think they'd hire someone like me?" Maria asked. "I don't have a college degree. I've just been doing retail and food service. My resume is a mess. I don't have any relevant experience." "I didn't have a relevant degree either," Sarah said. "I was a nursing student who dropped out. I was delivering pizzas. What matters is that you're willing to work hard and learn. Let me talk to Linda. I can't promise anything, but I can at least get you an interview. I can vouch for your character, your work ethic." "Why would you do this for me?" Maria asked. "You barely know me." "Because someone did it for me," Sarah replied simply. "And because I see myself in you. I know what it feels like to be where you are. I know what it feels like to need help and be too proud or too scared to ask for it." 2 weeks later, Maria started working at the company as a leasing agent. She wasn't making as much as Sarah, but it was more than her 2 previous jobs combined, and she had benefits for the first time in years. More importantly, she had a schedule that allowed her to be home with her family in the evenings. She had hope again. Sarah told James about Maria over lunch one day. They had fallen into a pattern of having lunch once a month, where James would check in on her progress and offer advice. Sometimes they would meet at nice restaurants, and James would insist on paying. Other times, they would grab sandwiches and sit in the park. Sarah had come to value these conversations, to see James not just as her benefactor, but as a friend and mentor. "You're doing it," James said, smiling. "You're paying it forward. You're changing lives." "I'm trying," Sarah replied, "but I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. There are so many people out there who need help. Every person I meet at the support group has a story that breaks my heart. How do you choose? How do you decide who to help when you can't help everyone?" James nodded thoughtfully. "That's the hardest part, isn't it? Knowing you can't help everyone. Richard told me once that you can't save the whole world, but you can change someone's world. Look at what you've done. You've helped Maria.
You're helping the people in your support group by giving them community and resources. You're being an excellent property manager for residents who might otherwise be ignored or mistreated. Every person you help creates a ripple effect. Maria will help someone else someday. The people in your support group will pay it forward. It multiplies. I just keep thinking about that night, Sarah said softly. What if you hadn't asked me to stay? What if you had just let me leave with my tip? Where would I be now? But I did ask you to stay, James said, and you said yes. That took courage too, you know, to accept help, to trust a stranger, to believe you deserved better. A lot of people can't do that. Pride gets in the way, or fear, or shame. You were vulnerable enough to accept help, and that's a strength, not a weakness. Sarah looked down at her food. Sometimes I still can't believe all of this is real. Sometimes I wake up and I'm afraid it's all going to disappear. It's real because you made it real. The opportunity I gave you would have meant nothing if you hadn't seized it with both hands. You could have shown up unprepared to that interview. You could have done mediocre work during your probationary period. You could have given up when things got hard. But you didn't. You proved yourself every single day. As another year passed, Sarah's life continued to transform. She finished her online degree, graduating with honors. Linda and James both attended her graduation ceremony, cheering loudly when her name was called. She was promoted to property manager, overseeing 3 buildings on her own. Her salary had increased to $60,000 a year. She had paid off half of her loan to James and had built her emergency fund to $10,000. But more importantly, she had found purpose. She had helped 5 people get jobs at the company over the past year. Her support group had grown to 20 regular attendees, and she had helped 3 of them negotiate their medical debts and set up payment plans. She mentored 3 high school students who were interested in healthcare careers, helping them apply for scholarships and navigate the college application process. 2 of them had been accepted to nursing programs. On the 2-year anniversary of that rainy night, James invited Sarah to dinner at his house. This time, walking up to the mansion didn't intimidate her. She belonged here now, not because of the house, but because she and James had built a genuine friendship based on mutual respect and shared values. James's wife, Elizabeth, and their 2 children were there. Elizabeth was warm and welcoming, and Sarah learned that she ran a nonprofit that provided job training for women. The children, 12 and 14, were polite and curious, asking Sarah about her work. They had a lovely dinner, and Sarah felt comfortable in a way she never would have imagined 2 years ago. Afterward, over dessert, James handed Sarah an envelope. "What's this?" she asked. "Open it." Inside was a check. Sarah gasped. It was made out to the medical debt she still owed James, the full amount she still owed, nearly $18,000. "James, what is this?" James shook his head. "Look at the memo line." Sarah looked. It said, "Debt forgiven, paid in full." "No," Sarah protested. "No, I can't let you do this. We had an agreement. I've been paying you back. I owe you this money. I want to pay you back." "You don't owe me anything, Sarah. You've paid me back in ways that matter far more than money. You've taken everything I gave you and multiplied it 100 times over. You've helped so many people. You've become a leader in our company. You've honored Richard's legacy better than I ever could have imagined." Sarah's eyes filled with tears again. "But I feel like I'm taking advantage of your kindness. You've already done so much for me." Elizabeth spoke up for the first time. "Sarah, I've heard so much about you over these 2 years. James comes home and tells me about your latest accomplishment, about another person you've helped, about how you're changing lives. You've become like family to us. This isn't charity. This is recognition of everything you've achieved. This is us investing in the future you're going to create. I want you to take this money, James said, and I want you to put it in a special account. I want you to use it the way Richard used his money for me, the way I used mine for you. Find someone who needs help, someone who deserves a chance, and give it to them. Create your own legacy of kindness. Sarah looked at the check, at James and Elizabeth, at their children who were watching with interest. She thought about that desperate night 2 years ago, standing in this very house with $15 to her name. She thought about her mother, who had always believed in kindness, even when life was cruel. She thought about Richard, whom she had never met, but whose legacy had changed her life. "I'll do it," Sarah said, her voice thick with emotion. "I'll find the right person and help them the way you helped me. I promise I'll be careful and thoughtful about it. I'll find someone who will pay it forward just like I have." "That's all I ask," James said. 1 year later, Sarah was doing her grocery shopping when she noticed a young man at the checkout counter. He was carefully counting out coins to pay for a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter, his face flushed with embarrassment as the line grew behind him. He was wearing scrubs, and Sarah noticed the hospital badge clipped to his pocket that identified him as a nursing assistant. She watched as he came up short by $2. The cashier sighed impatiently, and the young man started to put the bread back, apologizing quietly. "Excuse me," Sarah said, stepping forward. "Let me get that for you." "No, it's okay," the young man said quickly. "I can just come back later. I'm sorry for holding up the line." "Please," Sarah insisted, handing the cashier a $20 bill. "Consider it a gift, and get yourself something else too, some fruit or vegetables." "I can't accept that," the young man said, but his eyes were grateful and desperate. "You can and you will," Sarah said gently. "We've all been there. Let someone help you." "Thank you," the young man said, his voice breaking slightly. "I just started as a nursing assistant at County General. First paycheck doesn't come until next week, and I had some unexpected expenses." Sarah's heart stopped. A nursing assistant, just starting out. She thought about the path she had once wanted to take, about how different her life could have been. "What's your name?" she asked. "David. David Chen." "I'm Sarah. Sarah Mitchell. Tell me, David, do you like what you do?" They walked out of the store together, and David told her his story. He was 26, working as a nursing assistant while taking classes to become a registered nurse. He had been caring for his younger siblings since their parents died in a car accident 3 years ago. The siblings were 17 and 19 now, both in high school and community college, but they still needed him. Money was tight, impossibly tight. He was working full-time at the hospital, taking online classes, trying to keep food on the table and keep his siblings in school. He was exhausted, overwhelmed, but determined. He had to finish his degree. He had to make something of himself, to make his parents proud, to give his siblings a stable life. Sarah listened, and with every word, she saw herself. She saw James. She saw the chain of kindness that connected them all. "David," she said when he finished, "I want to tell you about an opportunity." They sat in her car for an hour in the parking lot, and Sarah told him everything. About James, about the property management company, about their education benefits and flexible schedules. She told him about the night that changed her life, about the check James had given her to pay forward. She told him that she had been waiting for the right moment, the right person, and that she believed he was it. "I can't offer you a job in nursing," Sarah said, "but I can offer you a stable job with benefits and flexibility to finish your degree. The company works with nursing students all the time, adjusting schedules around clinical rotations. I can help with your siblings' expenses. I can pay off your current debts.
I can be for you what someone once was for me." David stared at her, tears streaming down his face. "Why would you do this for me? You don't even know me. This has to be some kind of scam." "It's not a scam." Sarah pulled out her phone and showed him her employee ID, the company website, news articles about James and his philanthropy. "This is real. I know it seems impossible, but I promise you, it's real. 2.5 years ago, I was where you are now. I had $15 in my bank account. I was delivering pizzas. I had given up on my dreams. And then someone gave me a chance, and it changed everything." "I don't know what to say," David whispered. "Say yes," Sarah replied, echoing the words James had once said to her. "Say you'll come interview tomorrow. Say you'll let me help you the way I was helped. Say you'll believe that good things can happen, even when life has been hard." "Yes," David said, his voice shaking. "Yes, absolutely yes. Thank you. Thank you so much." Over the next few months, Sarah worked closely with David, helping him transition into his new role at the property management company. Linda interviewed him and was impressed by his work ethic and his compassion. He started as a leasing agent, working a schedule that allowed him to continue his nursing classes and clinical rotations. True to her promise, Sarah helped David pay off his credit card debt and car payments. She set up a college fund for his siblings. She helped him move into a better apartment in a safer neighborhood. She watched him transform from a desperate, exhausted young man into someone with hope and confidence. But more than that, Sarah mentored him. She taught him about budgeting and financial planning. She helped him study for his nursing exams. She was there when he doubted himself, when the exhaustion threatened to overwhelm him, when he wanted to give up. She reminded him that he could do this, that he was strong enough, that his parents would be proud of him. A year after she met David, Sarah attended his nursing school graduation. His siblings were there, beaming with pride. Linda and James came too, wanting to support Sarah's first mentee. As David walked across the stage to receive his diploma, Sarah felt tears streaming down her face. This was what James had felt watching her succeed. This was what Richard must have felt watching James. This was the power of kindness multiplying across generations. After the ceremony, David pulled Sarah aside. "I got a job offer," he said, his face glowing with excitement. "The pediatric unit at County General. It's exactly what I wanted." "That's amazing, David. I'm so proud of you." "I couldn't have done any of this without you," David said. "You saved my life, Sarah. You and James. I want to pay it forward too. I want to help someone the way you helped me." "I know you will," Sarah said. "And that person will help someone else, and it will keep going. That's how we change the world, David. One person at a time. One act of kindness at a time." As Sarah drove home that evening, she thought about the journey that had brought her here. From that desperate, rainy night with $15 in her account to now, watching her own mentee graduate and begin his career. She thought about the chain of kindness that connected her to James, to Richard, and now to David and Maria and all the others she had helped along the way. She pulled into her apartment parking lot. She still lived in the same building, though she could afford to move now. But she liked remembering where she came from. She liked staying grounded. Besides, several of her neighbors had become friends, and she was helping 2 of them with their job searches. Sarah pulled out her phone and texted James. "Today, David graduated from nursing school. He got a job offer in pediatrics. He's going to be amazing. Thank you for teaching me how to do this, how to help people in a way that empowers them instead of just giving handouts. Thank you for everything." A few minutes later, her phone buzzed with his reply. "I'm so proud of you, Sarah. You've surpassed anything I imagined when I met you that night. You're not just paying it forward. You're building a movement of kindness. Richard would be so proud of us both." Sarah looked up at the night sky. She thought about her mother, about Richard, about all the people who had believed in kindness even when the world seemed harsh. She thought about how a single moment, a single decision to stay when someone asked, had transformed everything. The next day, Sarah got a call from Linda. "We need to talk about your future with the company," Linda said. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. "Okay," she replied cautiously. They met in Linda's office that afternoon. James was there too, which made Sarah nervous. "Sarah," Linda began, "I'm retiring next year. I've been thinking about who should take over the property management division, and there's only one person I trust to do it. You." "Me?" Sarah said, shocked. "But there are people who have been here much longer, people with more experience." "Experience isn't everything," James interjected. "You have something more important. You have heart. You care about the residents, about the employees, about making a real difference. That's what this company needs." "The position comes with a salary of $90,000 a year," Linda continued. "You'll oversee all of our residential properties and supervise a team of 15 property managers. It's a big responsibility, Sarah, but I believe you're ready for it." "I don't know what to say," Sarah managed. "Say yes," James said with a smile. "Yes," Sarah said, laughing through her tears. "Yes, of course yes." That evening, Sarah called her support group together for a special meeting. She told them about her promotion, about how far she had come, from that night with $15 in her account. She told them that if she could do it, they could too. She told them that they deserved good things, that they deserved help, that they deserved to dream again. One woman raised her hand.
How do we start? How do we get from where we are to where you are? "One step at a time," Sarah replied. "You ask for help when you need it. You work hard when opportunities come. You stay open to possibility even when everything feels hopeless. You remember that your current situation is not your final destination. And most importantly, you remember that accepting help is not weakness, it's wisdom." As the meeting ended and people filed out, Sarah stayed behind to clean up. She thought about writing all of this down someday, about telling her story in a way that might inspire others. She thought about starting a nonprofit, about expanding her efforts to help even more people. She thought about all the possibilities that lay ahead. But for now, she was content to take it one day at a time, to show up at work and do her best, to mentor David and Maria and the others who needed guidance, to run her support group and help her neighbors and be there for the people who needed her. She thought about that rainy night 3 years ago, about standing in James's foyer feeling so out of place and hopeless. She thought about how close she had come to just leaving, to walking away from the conversation that changed her life. She thought about how one person's kindness, one moment of genuine caring, had created a ripple effect that was still spreading outward, touching more and more lives. Sarah turned off the lights in the community center and walked to her car. Tomorrow she would go to work and start learning everything Linda needed to teach her before the retirement. She would continue taking online classes, working toward a master's degree in healthcare administration. She would keep helping people, one at a time, changing the world in the only way she knew how. And someday, someone would ask her how she did it, how she went from delivering pizzas with $15 in her account to running a property management division and changing lives. And she would tell them what James had told her, what Richard had believed, what she now knew to be true, that success means nothing if we don't lift others up with us, that wealth is measured not in dollars, but in the lives we touch, and that one act of kindness can change everything. As Sarah drove through the city streets toward home, she smiled. The future was bright, not just for her, but for all the people she would help, all the lives she would touch, all the kindness she would spread. And it had all started with a simple choice, made on a rainy night, to stay when someone asked, to accept help when it was offered, to believe that she deserved better. That choice had changed everything, and now it was her turn to offer that same choice to others, to be the person who saw potential in someone who couldn't see it in themselves, to open doors and create opportunities and believe in second chances. The rain started to fall again, gentle and steady. Sarah turned on her wipers and drove on, heading home, heading forward, heading toward a future filled with possibility and purpose and the knowledge that kindness, once given, never really ends. It just keeps multiplying, spreading outward like ripples on water, touching more lives than we can ever know, creating connections and opportunities and hope that spans generations. And that, Sarah thought as she pulled into her parking spot, was the greatest gift of all. Not the money or the job or the security, but the knowledge that she mattered, that her life had meaning, that she could make a difference. James had given her that gift, and now she was passing it on, one person at a time, building a legacy of kindness that would outlast them all.